Hello everyone, Kirk here with Kirk's Motor Rod Shop in Crystal Lake and the BMW Motor Rod Club of Northern Illinois. Gonna have a little DIY here on the center stand actuator, the hydraulics. So if you're watching this video, yours has probably failed on you, and it either failed in the motor or it failed right here. This is 10 out of 10 of these usually fail right here with the shaft coming in and out of here. Dirt and crap get in there and eat up the seals, and then the next thing you know, it leaks out and then it starts failing. You know, sometimes it'll jump the motorcycle a little bit. You'll notice it if you're lifting it up, and it'll stutter a few times. That's your first indicator that you need to get in there and change out these seals, or at the very minimum you need to refill the unit. Flush it and refill it. It's going to continue to leak, but you know, you can get away with it for a while. This one, on the other hand, unfortunately has completely failed. The seals on here actually had leaked out all over my lift back there, and they're done. So first thing you need to do, obviously, is you need to get the unit off of the motorcycle. You can't do this service on the bike, so take it off of there and take it off of the carrier that's underneath as well, so you get it looking like this. Take it down into your basement, whatever. If you put it in the sink, you can scrub it up. These things are pretty waterproof, obviously. If they're going to be sitting outside exposed to the elements all the time, you're going to have salt and dirt and sand, whatever. It's going to be a mess. But you can wash these up pretty good with just some super clean or some kind of a degreaser, and then just hose them off. You can also clean them up with WD-40 and brake parts cleaner. Whatever works for you. Just get the thing clean so you're not working in dirt. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to drain out whatever's left in the unit. There's going to be some inside these things. There's going to be some of the hydraulic oil that BMW or whoever built this thing used. We're not going to put in the BMW type oil, but we're going to use something suitable as well. So open this one up. They're in there pretty hard, so you're going to have to kind of crack them open. There it goes. So down inside this one is a spring as well as a little detent ball. So make sure you don't lose the ball. All right, so we can see it. There's that. It's got a copper washer on there, and here is the spring inside there. All right, set that aside, and then down inside here, just dump it out, and there's a little ball, a little detent ball right there. So I'm just going to leave that inside there. It's not going to go anywhere inside this pan. But anyway, now I'm going to remove these as well. I'm going to take this part apart, the part that tends to go wrong on these. Now, these units are not like being used every day all the time, so a lot of times you don't have a problem with this pump back here. You get a problem in here in the electrical part, and the brushes inside here will go bad. It's under a lot of strain. When it's running, it does tend to heat up a little bit. This motor's okay still. So on these little screws you have some little copper washers. You don't want to lose those either, otherwise you're going to wind up going to get some. I don't have any of those, so I'm just going to reuse them. So I got all these out. I'm going to flip it over here and just let whatever's left in there drain out. I don't know, you probably see it in the video. There's a lot of it's kind of like a dark gray goo. It looks like a lot of metal. That's a little worrisome, to be honest. That's probably a lot of aluminum inside this sleeve here. Ugh, this is pretty rough. Just gonna break these loose. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove two of them, letting the other two just kind of hold it for now. So already you're probably wondering, okay, if I get this thing apart, am I going to be able to get it together the right way? Yes, you will. It only goes together one way. You see there's a little tab right here on this side, and it comes in line with this, which comes in line with a little hole that's down in the bottom down here. So don't worry about, you're not going to screw it up or anything like that. So what you want to do here is just kind of hold this cap down when you start removing the other parts here. And you want to just let this thing off nice and slow. It's not like little tiny parts that are just going to go zinging across the shop, but you definitely don't want to let this thing just cut loose on its own. Now that I've said that, it'll probably will do that. Alright, it's starting to move already. So you just hold it down and then just let the thing off slowly and let the pressure off of those springs. Okay? So there's our main unit coming apart, and then we've got this unit here, and down inside here, this is where your piston is, and we're going to take care of that in just a few minutes. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this off, set it aside, and first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go ahead and change these out right away. These seals down here. Now these seals weren't leaking, and if you don't have the seals or you can't find the seals, it's probably not going to leak again as long as you get the parts clean. But I have new seals here, so I'm just going to take care of that. And the sizes here is this one is a 40 by 2 millimeter. You need two of those. You need one on this side and one on this side. And then this little dinky one that's down in here, that one is a, it's like a 4.8 by 1.9, I believe. Yeah, 4.8 by 1.9. So I'm going to pull those out of here, and I try to keep all the parts here in stock, but sometimes I got to order new stuff. You can find them online. You can, if you just look, you do a search on the specific part numbers or the, your O-rings, you can get these parts. They're readily available. You might even be able to get them from your auto parts store or something of that nature. You can order them from O-rings and more. You just need to know what you got to get, and then you'll find the right ones. All right, so I was going to change these first. Actually, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this motor off and replace the O-ring that's underneath the motor. So that's the part I'm doing next. So by now some of you are probably asking, wait, what happens if the motor burns out? Can you replace the brushes? There really is no reason to do that. And the reason I say that is that this motor is actually a scooter motor. I will try. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it or not, but I'm going to try to find the information and put it down in the description below as to what this motor is and where you can get them. So just keep in mind the sizes of the screws and where they go. So the one that's on the outside here does not have the ground wire to it. That one is, I think, a little bit longer than this one here. Yeah, this is the short one. See? A little shorter. Trying to keep everything in frame here. Hopefully I am reasonably good. Alright, so once you get that out, you can pull the motor off. Okay. There's the motor. Just a little starter motor. Nothing much. And down inside here, it's either going to be down in here as the O-ring, or it's going to be on the motor itself. So either one. And this one is a, what the heck is this thing? It's a 19 by 2.5. And all that is inside there, so you don't have to worry, there's not fluid down inside this one. This is it's just some gearing that goes over to the pump. So it's not like it's full of fluid. The fluid moves through this area here and then comes up and around and, you know, does its magic. So I got a brand new one here, 19 by 2.5. Just put a little bit of lube on there, and it helps them last longer and helps it seal up a little bit better too. Because now this is out of the way, I can actually get in there and change that. I'll take my little pick tool, pull this O-ring out. There's that little tiny thing. And put a new one in. Okay. Let's replace the other one. You just want to make sure that the O-ring doesn't fold over on you when you're reinstalling this thing. So the short one, remember, it goes on the wire side. This part of it is relatively done now, so we're just going to set that aside for now while we work on the other part. And pull the end cap off. All right. You're going to pull this apart. You're going to take this out, the piston part, and just keep in mind where everything is. So now I'll just go over it here when I get this apart. So inside this you have really just two main parts here. You've got this band seal here, or this might be the, I don't know if that's the wiper or the seal, anyways, and then it has another one on this side as well. It is my experience that you do not need to change these all the time. They usually will hold up through many, many uses and many times of rebuilding these things. The only reason that you want to take it apart, in my experience, is that you want to be able to get inside this thing and clean it up, because a lot of times there's some scarring on the inside of this. There's some kind of galling. If if when you're lifting up your motorcycle, it sits there and jumps really hard, this can sometimes turn a little bit, and it will damage the interior of this thing. Not to the point so much where it's going to fail, but you'll notice something's going on in there. So you want to take a flashlight or something, look inside there, and see what kind of condition it's in. So now I'm going to prep this thing just to get put back together. I'm really not going to do anything about this. I'm not going to hone this out or anything. I'm just going to kind of clean it up. And the way I do that is with a brown Scotch-Brite. It's about the right grit for the aluminum. I'm just going to kind of roll that up and then just run it through there. That looks pretty good. See, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit inside there. Now it's kind of all one color. Okay, and that's ready to put back on there when the time comes. Not yet though. We're going to set that aside. Now we're going to go to work on this. So this is the part that leaks all the time. And you've got two seals here to deal with. You've got a seal, and then you have a wiper, which is on the outside. Both of them are shot. Alright, there's one. Okay, once you get those out of there, now this is a little spacer that's right here. You can, a lot of times it'll just fall out. Or maybe you gotta grab it sometimes, I guess. Just don't scratch it all up or mar it up real bad. There it goes. Okay, because you're gonna need that spacer again. You're gonna need it to even push the new seals in too. Alright, now we just get the seals out of there. And they're just going to peel out of there. Get a screwdriver or something. There we go. Forget the ring. It comes out pretty easy. I just pushed it right out. There it is. Okay. Now we're going to put the new ones in. Kind of clean this up just a little bit. So this side here is going to take a 10 by 16 by 3 millimeter wiper. The inside, that's going to take a 10 by 16 by 4.5 seal. So you can see the wiper has like a little cone shape on it. That's the outside of the seal. Make sure it's going in straight. Okay. Okay, we're just going to make sure it's seated all the way down there. How you're going to know it's seated all the way is if you start to be able to see the ring that goes around there for you to get your C-clip back in. And you can see on this one it's not down all the way. Yeah, we're there. Alright, it's down there. Next one we're going to do is this one. Same thing, get a little lube on there. Alright. So what I used there was, this was an 11 millimeter, and it was just big enough to get around that ring and push that thing down in there. So wiper is installed. Okay, so now we're going to take our spacer, put that back in, and put our rings back in, and then this thing is going to be pretty much ready to go once we change out this O-ring. Alright, good to go. So let's change out this seal that's on here. O-ring, I mean. Oh, new one of those on there. Alright, it's ready to go back on. I'm going to take this rod here, clean this up just a little bit, and we got to make sure that we don't lose these seals that are on here, or they don't break off or anything. You can replace these. A hydraulic shop will have those. They usually just stock those parts. You don't want to use anything too rough on this. You don't want it to scratch up real bad and then prematurely wear out those seals. But we also want to make sure that there's any kind of rust or any kind of dirt or anything of that nature on there as well. So we're going to put this in. Just kind of wedge it in there. Make sure your seals close up. There's a little bevel on the inside of this thing that helps you put these things in. Kind of helps facilitate this. There we go. Okay. We're going to go ahead and then put our cap back in there. Just be careful that you don't bang up the seals too bad. There we go. So just line up where the tab is. We're going to set it on here. Now we're going to run this down and push down on the cap. And line those things up. Hopefully it's going to go right in there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just run these down just a little bit in order to get the other ones started with the washers on there. There's no washers on these right now. Okay. I'll get the washers on the other ones. Alright, once you get those snugged up, just make sure everything looks like it's pretty much aligned, and it is. And then you're going to test this just by, at least just test the actuation just to make sure everything is sliding in nice, just by pushing it in. You can hear that spring in there. Okay, next thing we're going to do now, we're going to fill this unit back up. So in order to fill this back up, we need to put in about 125 cc's of hydraulic fluid, or in this case we can also use just some transmission fluid. Dextron 3 works great. The biggest thing is that you want to make sure that it's a nice lightweight oil, so that way it will work in the cold as well as the hot. And transmission fluid is very stable. It's very thermodynamically stable and works out really well. So you can put hydraulic fluid in it as well if you want. It's up to you. But I'm going to put 125 cc's in here. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up right through here for now. And just start slowly squeezing it in. I'm having it on a little bit of an angle up, because what I'm going to be doing is, it's going to fill up, slowly fill this thing up until it comes out these and the top one here. Okay, once you start seeing it coming out of these, you can grab some of your screws and drop them in there. Still just go nice and slow. I'm actually still pushing just real slow on this thing. So it's not leaking out anywhere, it's just kind of bubbling. So now we're just going to go ahead and fill it up the rest of the way. Okay. Let's see, I got just a little bit left in there. I don't think I can squeeze too much more in though. Now with the unit pretty full, and don't forget your little detent ball. Just drop it in there. Bring your spring in. Just give it a quick bench test. Make sure you get full movement. And that it will spring back on its own. And it is. If you need to, if this thing wasn't running prior and you think that there might be an issue with it, go ahead and do a bench test with it. And you do that by just hooking a battery directly into this plug here. So you got the brown on BMW is always the earth or the ground, and then the red is the positive. Now it's the other side's hooked up to the battery there. You can see it. I'm just going to touch it. This is I'm not going to do this for long, because these things take a lot of amperage and they heat these wires up pretty quick. So I just want to make sure that the thing goes in and then lets out. There it is. Works like a champ. So that's how you change out the seals on your center stand unit. Should be good for a while. You may have to change them out again someday, but hey, now you know how to do it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please check out my Patreon page as well as my Amazon page, both of which are down in the description below. And your purchase through Amazon, even if you just use that as your bookmark and you buy your stuff that you would normally buy on Amazon, that actually throws a few cents my way and really does help me out. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for all your support and all your questions. Hope you guys got something out of this one. I'm sure you did. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.